Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is May 22nd. The Tarps off movement is taking over MLB. The Brewers are back to first in the Central. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? Boy, what a week of baseball. Some great matchups that happened, that went down, some 4-game sets, some big-time sweeps, all of which we are going to be talking about in today's episode. And I mean, the month of May right now is providing some great matchups. Even this weekend, we've got a couple of heavyweight matchups. So, some great baseball happening in tune with the NBA and NHL playoffs, among other things in the sports world. Baseball is taking over. With that being said, why don't we jump into our series recap? Leading us off, we have the Blue Jays and Yankees for 4. Ernie and George homer for the Blue Jays. Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm going deep for the Yankees as they come back in the 7th, scoring 4 to take the lead. Yankees win it 7-6. Ryan McMahon's 3-run home run ties it up for the Yankees as Ben Rice's 2-run homer gives the Yankees the lead. They go on to win it 5-4. It's a duel between young Cam Schlittler. He gets out-dueled between young Trey Yesavage. It's a fun pitcher's duel between some future aces as Yesavage out-duels Schlittler. Blue Jays win it 2-1, and in that last game, Springer hits his 2nd home run of this series. The Jays bullpen strikes out 14 Yankees, only giving up 3 hits in the 9 innings as they split the 4-game set 2 apiece. Blue Jays win it 2-0. Orioles and Rays now. The Rays score 4 or more runs in 3 different innings. In this one, Junior Caminero goes deep as well. The Rays put up a 16 spot against Baltimore, 16-6 the final. Yandy Diaz in Game 2 hits his 8th home run of the season as he goes 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, helping the Rays in a 4-1 victory. And in the last game, Hunter Fiducia hits his first career MLB home run. The Rays come back from down 2 as they score 4 in the 8th to take a 5-3 win and a sweep over Baltimore. The Red Sox and the Royals, Wilson Contreras hits his 10th homer of this season, helping the Red Sox to a 3-1 victory. Jarren Duran would double the Red Sox score in the 9th with a 3-run homer as they end up winning it 7-1. And in the last game, it's Jarren Duran again in a big way. Down by 1, he turns the game upside down with a go-ahead 2-run homer. That's the difference in a 4-3 win as the Red Sox sweep the Royals. Guardians and Tigers. Jose Ramirez hits his 8th home run of the season to cap off an 8-run game for the Guardians. They beat the Tigers 8-2 in the first of 4. Travis Bazzana gives the lead to Cleveland with a 2-run homer. The Guardians go on to win this one 4-3. In the 3rd game, the Guardians tie it up in the 9th with a Patrick Bailey ground out. This one goes into extras where an extra base hit from Angel Martinez and Jose Ramirez picks up 2 runs for Cleveland. Tigers only get 1. Guardians win another one 3-2 in the 10th. And in that last game, Patrick Bailey hits his first home run as a Guardian. They go on to win it 3-1, and the Cleveland Guardians sweep the Detroit Tigers in a 4-game set. Boogity boogity wow. Astros and Twins, Josh Bell hits a big game, goes 3 for 4 with 2 homers and 4 RBIs. Twins roll 6-3 the final. In Game 2, Isaac Paredes with a 2-run homer. That's all Houston needs in a 2-1 victory. And in the rubber match, Victor Caratini and Ryan Kreidler both go deep. Joe Ryan shoves. Twins win it 4-1, take 2 of 3 from Houston. White Sox and Mariners. Julio hits a first-inning home run to set the tone, and later on, Colt Emerson gets his first career MLB hit, which just so happens to be his first career MLB home run. A 3-run shot helps the Mariners to a 6-1 victory. It took 9 innings in Game 2, but the White Sox score 2 in the 9th, 1 to tie it and 1 to take the lead as they come back for a win in the 9th, 2-1 White Sox. In the rubber match, meet Johnny Pereda hitting his first career MLB home run. Randy hits a 2-run shot. Mariners win it 5-4, taking 2 of 3 from the White Sox. The A's and Angels play in a 4-game set. JT Ginn was just 3 outs away from a no-hitter. After that ended with the leadoff hit. Zach Neto turns it into a walk-off home run win for the Angels. They go from no hit to walk-off in a 2-1 Angels victory. A's score 6 in the third. Zach Geloff, Brett Rooker, they go deep. They put the Angels through Pound Town, winning it 14-6. In the third game, Jorge Soler, Joe Adell, and Josh Lau all homer for the Halos, but the A's stay in it. And in the ninth, Jeff McNeil hits a game-tying home run. We are going to extras. The A's score 1. They hold the Angels. They get the comeback win, beating the Angels 6-5 in 10. And in the last game, it's another extra inning game, and it's another A's run in the 10th. And once again, they hold the Angels from scoring. They end up taking 3 of 4 from the Angels. The only game they lost was the game they had a no-hitter in, bringing it into the 9th inning. The A's win it 3-2. Braves and Marlins played a 4-game set, and the Fish dropped a hammer. Javier Senhoa, a grand slam. Xavier Edwards, home run. The Marlins pile it on in a 12-0 win. But that was their only win of this one. The Braves come back in the game 2. They were down 2. They score 6 unanswered, including a Michael Harris, the second home run. Braves win it 8-4. In the third game, Austin Riley starts scoring with a 3-run homer. Dominic Smith homers later in this one, 9-1 Atlanta. And in that last game, Michael Harris II hits a 2-homer game. He totals 3 homers in the series. Mike Yastrzemski also goes yard. It's 9-3 Braves, who take 3 of 4 from the Marlins. Mets and Nationals also playing in a 4-game set. And if I told you this game ended 16-7 in extras, you would be scratching your head. Well, the Mets dropped 10 runs in the 12th. That's what happened. From 5-5 going into extras, the Mets scored 10 in the 12th inning. They scored on 5 singles and 2 doubles. 16-7 Mets in 12 as they beat the Nats in the opener. Bo Bichette hits 2 homers in the game, his first multi-homer game as a Met, and his 3rd home run of the series. The Nationals came back, though, from down 5 and inside the park, grand slam from James Ward and a game-tying home run from Jose Tena. The Nationals score 9 unanswered. They win it 9-6. In the third game, Juan Soto has a 2-homer game. He's up to 3 homers in this series. The Nats, though, get homers from C.J. Abrams and Jacob Young. They go on to win it 8-4. And in the last game, Bichette's 2-run single is enough to split the 4-game set. Mets win it 2-1. Take 2. Nats 2, 4 games done. Reds and Phillies. Bryson Stott hits a go-ahead 2-run homer in the 8th, helping the Phillies steal one 5-4 as they beat the Reds. But here come those Reds. In Game 2, they score 4 unanswered after a Trey Turner homer takes the lead. Reds win it 4-1, and in the road match, Sal Stewart hits his 12th home run of the season, his 2nd of the series. Reds win it 9-4 and take 2 of 3 from Philly. Brewers and Cubs, a battle for the NL Central this early in the year. Sign me up as Yelich blasts a moonshot off the scoreboard in right field. Jake Bauers, a 3-run shot. It's all Milwaukee early in a 9-3 victory. In Game 2, it's Bryce Terang's 2-run homer. Makes it 5-0 Brewers in the 8th. The Cubs only get 2 after that. 5-2 Milwaukee. And in the last game, an error from PCA leads to a Little League inside the park 3-run homer for David Hamilton, helping the Brewers to a 5-0 victory, a sweep over the Cubs, and sole possession of first place in the division. Pirates and Cardinals now. J.J. Weatherholt, Nolan Gorman, and Alec Burleson all go deep for the Cardinals. The Pirates, though, stay in it. They tie it in the 9th with 2 runs in extras. Some Tarps off magic. Ivan Herrera hits the walk-off home run in extras. The Cardinals continue to ride Tarps off. 9-6 St. Louis. They win that one. Game 2, Spencer Horwitz goes deep. The Pirates, 4 runs in the 8th, seal the deal in a 7-0 victory. And in the last game, Brandon Lau hits his 13th homer of the season. Henry Davis goes deep later on. Pirates win it 6-2, taking 2 of 3 from the Cardinals. Giants and D-backs now, 6 pitches in. Nolan Arenado hits a grand slam that sets the pace. Gabriel Moreno homers later. 5-run fifth for the D-backs. They win it 12-2. Corbin Carroll gets a Little League inside the park home run after getting a triple, a ball off his helmet. He comes in to score. That sets the pace. The Giants took the lead, though, with back-to-back home runs from Rafael Devers and Willie Adames, but in the 9th, down 1, Ketel Marte calls game. It's a 3-run walk-off home run. D-backs win it 5-3, and in the last game, Marte hits another go-ahead home run. This one a 2-run shot in the 3rd inning. The D-backs had the Giants number this series as they sweep the Giants 6-3 the final. Dodgers and Padres with the NL West on the line this early. Miguel Andujar homers in the first, and that's the only run of the game. 1-0 Padres, they take the opener. Dodgers claw back though. Machado and Andujar homering for the Padres in game 2, but Mr. Freddie Freeman goes deep not once but twice for the Dodgers. His 2 homers help the Dodgers to a 5-4 victory. And in the rubber match, Ohtani hits a leadoff home run, his 8th of the season. He then went on to pitch for 5 scoreless frames. Teoscar Hernandez goes deep for the Dodgers. They take 2 of 3 from the Padres in San Diego, 4-0 LA. That's a good feeling, Dodgers. Rangers and Rockies is how we rounded up. The Rangers tried to come back from being down 5. They came close but finish a run short. The Rockies hold on to a 7-6 victory. Kumar Rocker was lights out as Brennan Nimmo goes deep in a 10-0 Rangers victory. And in the last game, Ezekiel Duran, Jake Burger, they both homer. The Rockies took the lead, but the Rangers get it back, scoring 2 in the 9th to tie and take the lead as they get a comeback 5-4 victory. Rangers taking 2 of 3 from the Rockies, and that's your series recap. All right, now let's get into the game of the week, and we are going to Washington for game 2 between the Mets and the Nats. And we start in the top of the first where Bo Bichette, starting to get hot a little bit, hits his home run, his 4th of the season. A 2-run shot gets the Mets out and going early. Later in the inning with Juan Soto on third, Marcus Semien hits a sac fly to bring him in. 3-0 Mets. After 1, top of the second, Bo Bichette does it again. 2 innings, 2 homers, his 5th on the season. It's another 2-run shot with Carson Benz coming in to score both times. The Mets are up 5-0 and feeling good, but in the bottom of the second with the bases juiced, James One would hit one deep. It would get off the wall but bounces away from the runners. It ends up being an inside the park grand slam, Wood's 13th homer of this season, and it brings the Nats within 1. Bottom third, Jose Tena, he goes deep, his 3rd of the season. It's a solo shot that ties this game up. We've got a brand new ball game at 5-5. Later in the inning, it's a pass ball from Luis Torrens, allowing CJ Abrams to come in to score as the Nats take a 6-5 lead. And then Jorbit Vivas hits the sac fly as the Nationals score 3 in the 3rd and make it 7-5 Washington. But they are not done. In the next inning, it's a fielder's choice. Bo Bichette ends up with the error throw. It ends up 2 runners coming in to score as it's a missed catch error, by Luis Torrens. It ends up being 9-5 Washington after 2-run score on that mistake. It would stay 9-5 until the top of the 7th where Juan Soto hits his 7th home run on this season. It's a solo shot, makes it 9-6, and it would stay 9-6. The Nationals get to Nolan McLean. The Mets blow a 5-0 lead, end up with a 9-6 victory. That is your game of the week, and a pretty good one at that, if I do say so myself. Let's now get into some baseball news. And one thing I wanted to add into today's episode is kind of a tier ranking so far of the teams this season. I was looking at some standings, looking at how teams have been playing, and kind of just wanting to kind of make a tier list. Now, this is not me ranking power rankings. This is not me doing things in order. I've separated the 30 MLB teams into 6 different tiers, and I've just kind of added them into the tiers. It's not in order of tier, so don't take that too much. It's just basically first tier, you've been elite, you're looking good. Second tier, hey, you've had your ups, you've been surprising, you're in the mix there, keep it up. Third team is this either you're surpassing expectations or you were supposed to be better and you haven't properly clicked yet. Then you have this fourth team of we don't know what you are or what you're supposed to be. We have this fifth tier of you're disappointing everyone and there was higher expectations. And then there's the sixth team of you're playing some baseball this year and you're having some fun and no one's expecting much from you at this point. So that's how I separated the 6 tiers. So I'm just going to read it off for you, and we're going to move on from this. So the first tier, the tier of the elite of the elite thus far, we have the Atlanta Braves, the Los Angeles Dodgers, of course, Tampa Bay Rays, the New York Yankees, the Chicago Cubs, and the Milwaukee Brewers. Those 6 teams have been on a heater. Very surprising for some of them. More so, just the battles that we've had right now. You go Tampa Bay and Yankees. You go Cubs and Brewers. The AL East and the NL Central. Those have been 2 of the most exciting divisions in baseball so far. And, you got 2 teams in each division that have been out of this world impressive. So that is your first tier. Your tier below that, your team of, you guys are killing it, but let's see a little bit more sometimes. Of course, we have the San Diego Padres. They've been very good. You could have put the Padres in that first tier, but, you lost series against the Dodgers, and that was a big series for you guys, so I put them in the tier below. As well as the Phillies, they started off super cold, but they have gotten off hot, and they're starting to claw their way back into the NL East there, so some work to be done there. The Cleveland Guardians, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Mariners. That is how I have that ranked. The Cardinals are 28 and 21. They're still kind of flying high above 500. The NL Central is still all above 500, so it's been very impressive. Teams like the Pirates, who, again, 26 and 24. Did I expect them to be this high? No, but the fact that they are is impressive. But after seeing them play, there is an element to this game where I think they can be a little bit better. So I'm waiting for that extra oomph push. The Mariners, they look good despite being 24 and 27. They're maybe a little bit high, but I think that there is a lot of talent that this team is going to start bringing sooner than later. The AL West has been a slop fest, but work to be done there. This third team of, high expectations, not meeting them, or just surpassing low expectations. We've got the Blue Jays, the White Sox, the D-backs, the Reds, the Rangers, the Athletics, and the Nationals. Now, of course, Blue Jays are defending AL champs. They haven't gotten off to the right foot. They've been kind of playing 500 baseball, but they've also had a lot, and yes, a lot of injuries. They have 14 guys on the IL, so, definitely not the best baseball being played. The White Sox have been very impressive, but again, being very impressive and sitting 1 game above 500, the AL Central is kind of weak, so if you want to go for it, you could go for it, really. The D-backs have been playing a great brand of baseball this past week, but of course, still have ways to go to catch up to the Padres and the Dodgers. The Reds being in that mix of great, NL Central teams, but still sitting on the outside. The A's are the best team in the AL West as it stands. They're 26 and 24. They got 2.5 games up on the Mariners, who I put in the tier above them. They've got 2 games above the Rangers, who are on their team. Like I said, the Mariners, despite having the worse record, I think that they are in a better position right now. The A's are just kind of holding it right now. 26 and 24 is nothing to be, disappointed about. But there's that other level that I am expecting for a team in the West to break through. And between the A's, Rangers, and Mariners, it's clearly going to be Seattle. And shout out Nationals, because they've been off to a nice start this season, 25 and 26. They're better than a lot of teams that I expected them to be worse at. So good for Washington. This fourth tier, of what are you supposed to be? Where are you? We have the New York Mets, the Boston Red Sox, and the Miami Marlins. They're sitting in this weird, below 6 games, 500. Mets 22 and 28, Marlins 22 and 29, Boston 22 and 27. So they all have 22 wins, each of them having one extra loss than one another. But yeah, the Mets started off really, really cold, bottom of the barrel. They're trying to finally kind of find some form and try to take back getting into the mix of the NL East there. Boston's in a tricky position because there's a lot of good teams in the AL East, let alone in the AL, of course. But again, they're still part of that, one good week and you're in the playoff spot, so you're just looking for that. And the Marlins, same thing. I mean, you're in a tough division in the NL East where, the Braves and Phillies are obviously miles ahead. Nationals are playing a great brand of baseball, and then, of course, you're kind of in the mix with these Mets here. So that's kind of this we don't know what you're supposed to be kind of thing. Because, like, the Marlins are playing good baseball despite being last in their division, but what are you going to do because you're also at 500 almost? So weird spot there. The fifth tier of teams that I expected more of, you have the Detroit Tigers, the San Francisco Giants, the Kansas City Royals, the Baltimore Orioles, and the Minnesota Twins. Now, there is an imposter among us here. The Twins are not a team that I expected more from, but they're a team that I think just the way they've been playing deserves a spot higher than the last tier here, so I kind of snuck them in here. But the Royals, Tigers, Giants, and Baltimore, I thought were all going to have better seasons. I had Kansas City being one of the favorites to win the the AL Central. They have not gone off to the right foot here. They've been, struggling. The Tigers, ever since losing Tarek Skubal, they've been losing a lot recently. So a 4-game sweep against Cleveland definitely doesn't help. Baltimore still last in a very tight AL division, behind Boston, behind the Blue Jays, of course, behind the Yankees and Rays. So a lot of work for Baltimore to get through there. It's just not going well for these teams right now. So that's why they're in this fifth tier. And then there's sixth tier of teams that are just hanging out, having fun. We've got the Houston Astros, the Colorado Rockies, and the Los Angeles Angels. Now, two of these teams are no surprise. The Rockies and Angels, they're the only two teams thus far to have not recorded 20 wins yet, although the Rockies are close. They're at 19 and 32. The Angels are at 17 and 34. Those are the two worst teams in baseball as it stands. So it's no surprise that, it's not a surprise that the Rockies and Angels are bad. What is a surprise is the Houston Astros. They're 20 and 31. They're 11 games under 500. Then again, so are the Tigers after a 6-game losing streak, but we'll talk about that shortly here. It's just not clicking for Houston. Starting pitching isn't there. The offense hasn't been producing at a consistent level, and that's caused them to lose a lot of games. The one thing I will say in a thankful kind of way here for the Astros is that they're a part of that AL West where, like I said, no team has really taken over. The A's, the Rangers, the Mariners, they're all kind of fighting in this, battling around 500, slightly getting over 500 to go below 500 kind of level. So, I mean, despite being 11 games out of 500, they're only 6.5 back of the Athletics for first. So again, that's just two weeks of good baseball, and Houston's back on top. And we've seen it with them before. We saw it with them last year, where they kind of had these, this month where they just kind of caught on fire, and they went from, middle of the pack to taking over the division for a little bit before Seattle eventually came back to take over and win the AL West. So watch out for Houston. They could still be a problem, but as of now, about 50 games into the season, the Astros are just having fun. They're going out there, they're losing their games, and they're doing it over and over. So that right there is what I have at about the 50-ish games mark. Some teams have played just over 50 games. Some people have played exactly 50 games. I think a few of them are at 49. But still, through 50 games of the season, that is how I rank the 6 different tiers and which teams are in those tiers. So that is a little tier ranking for you so far. In terms of other news around the big leagues, the biggest news has been the Tarps off movement. It continues to grow and grow. If you're unaware of what's been happening, starting in St. Louis, we had this group of boys and this group of fans who at one point was just trying to hype up the crowd. They all took off their shirts and started waving them around. And as they started that, more and more people flocked towards their were and also joined in. So you have these giant fan sections of guys with their shirts off, waving their shirts around, and it just grows and grows, and it's real energy into the stadium. This first happened in St. Louis, which inspired them to take 2 of 3 from the Royals. Very exciting games. Manager Olive Momoli, talked about how, impressive it was and what he would do to make sure that they're always there and like to have that. They ended up bringing the few guys that kind of started it into the clubhouse. They had some special moments with the Cardinals players. I think they threw out the first pitch even a couple days later. It's been continuing in St. Louis. That Ivan Herrera walk-off against the Pirates this week, which was in that first game in the 10th on the Tuesday. On his walk-off as he round the bases, he's looking at that fan section and he's doing the towel wave with them kind of thing. So it's been a real spark plug for St. Louis. The Cardinals have even said on their social media and kind of announced it for their team that the upper right field bleachers have become a dedicated high-energy fan section inspired by the Tarps off atmosphere. And basically, they just want you to go there, take your shirt off, wave it around, and be as electric as you can for most of the game. And if you're saying, is it just a St. Louis thing? No, it is not. We have seen this in Philadelphia. We've seen it in Seattle. We've seen it in Tampa Bay. We've seen it in Detroit. It is something that has taken over some of these MLB stadiums, and I'm not sure if it will go through every MLB stadium, of course, by the time this Tarps off movement has started. Some teams haven't even had a home game yet, so we can see what other teams will adapt this movement. But I'm saying Philly, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Detroit, we've seen about 5 or 6 teams so far, and it's leading to players playing better and more electric atmospheres in these stadiums, especially in ones like Tampa Bay and St. Louis, where crowds aren't the most electric all the time. There's not a lot of fan attendance. It's definitely brought in a level of excitement to those stadiums and to the game and for those players and fans. So it's been very fun to watch and see. But yeah, we'll see how it continues to grow. Well, if there's any updates on it, well, we'll see. But for now, we've got St. Louis kind of being the leader of this, and 4 of the teams following suit in the Tarps off movement. Let's take a look quickly at some streaky teams here around the league, because there's been a couple. The Guardians have won a current high of 6 games in a row. That is the current best winning streak. It helps when you take a 4-game sweep over the Tigers, who, by the way, have lost 6 straight. So the Guardians 9-1 in their last 10 on a 6-game winning streak. Tigers 1-9 in their last 10 on a 6-game losing streak. They're on completely different ends, not only that way, but also record-wise. Guardians are at 30-22. Tigers are at 20-31. Cleveland sits first in the AL Central. Tigers sit last in the AL Central, so not some fun stuff there. And that's not the only division or the only 6-5 games there. You have the Diamondbacks in the NL West. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They have been able to jump to 26-23. They're 7-3 in their last 10, are 4.5 games back of the division for the Dodgers, and they're 2 games back of the wild card. Meanwhile, the Cubs just got swept by the Brewers. That means they're on a 5-game losing streak. They're 2-8 in their last 10, still 29-21. But with the Brewers winning 3 in a row, they are now at 29-18. The Brewers have played 2 less games and the Cubs have lost the 2 extra games that they've played. So now 3 games. 29-29. They're both with 29 wins, but the Brewers have 18 losses. Cubs have 21 losses. That's 3 games the Cubs have played more than the Brewers and have lost all 3 of those games. They're a game and a half back, and the Brewers are back to first place, sole possession of the NL Central. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've been killing it. And of course, all the NL Central teams are still the best. Something I want to point out as well that's kind of fun with this whole streaky thing that the entire NL Central is very good and yada yada. The Texas Rangers are still the 6th seed in the AL. Their record 24-25, right? 24-25. That's a 1 game below 500. The Nationals are at 25-26. The Phillies are at 25 and 25. The Reds are at 26 and 24. The Pirates are at 26 and 24. The D-backs are at 26 and 23. That is 5 teams that are above Texas right now. So Texas, if the season ended today, would be a playoff team. 5 teams have a better record and would miss out. That is how different the AL and the NL have been this season. The NL has been very good, very competitive. I mean, you've got, 10 teams that are at 500 or better. The 5 teams that aren't: the Nationals, the Mets, the Marlins, the Giants, and the Rockies. But everyone else is at 500 or better. In the AL, the Rays are, the Yankees are, the Guardians are, the A's are, and the White Sox are. That's 5 teams that are at 500 or better, and 10 teams that aren't. That is a crazy difference between the AL and the NL this season. Will it hold up? It has to not hold up, but for now it does. It's very interesting. So those are some streaky teams for you and some streaky leagues, I guess you could say. Let's move into our injury updates now. Jose Altuve lands on the 10-day IL for Houston with a strained oblique. Ryan Jeffers, 10-day IL, a fractured hamate. Drake Baldwin, 10-day IL with a strained oblique. That's not good for the Braves. He's been very good for them. Brenton Doyle on the 10-day IL with an oblique contusion. James McCann on the 10-day IL with a strained quad. Leo Jimenez on a 7-day concussion IL. And then Jose Barrios, it was announced that he will undergo Tommy John surgery. He will miss the remainder of this year. He has not pitched once this season. It's very unfortunate for him. Hopefully he, gets better and comes back with vengeance next year, because I do miss watching Jose Barrios play. He's been one of my favorite pitchers to watch in person. I, love him very much. So hopefully he's going to be back for the Blue Jays not real soon, but when he is back, he'll be back to the Jose Barrios that I remember going to so many games to watch him play. We have now outstanding performances from the week, and it's a list full of great guys. Sonny Gray, 6 innings, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 9 Ks. Brian Wu, 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. Shout out JT Jin, 8 no-hit innings. He ends up going 8 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 10K. Of course, he stayed in there for the hit, and then the walk-off home run by Zach Neto, but still a very impressive outing despite those last 2 batters to ruin it. Max Meyer, 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Michael King, 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, and 9 Ks against the Dodgers. He was going up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who went 7 innings, 3 hits, a run, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. Of course, that run was that Miguel Andujar home run. Bryce Miller, 5 2/3, only 1 hit, no runs, a walk, and 7 Ks. Chase Burns, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, 9 Ks. Of course, young Jacob Mizorowski, 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, a walk, and 8 Ks. Kumar Rocker, 7 2/3, 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and 7 Ks. Young phenom Treya Savage, 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 8 strikeouts against the Yankees. Michael Wacha, 6 innings, 6 hits, a run, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. Tanner Bybee, 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. Joe Ryan, 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, no walks, and 9 Ks. Chris Sale, 7 innings, 4 hits, a run, no walks, and 8 Ks. Kyle Harrison, 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, a walk, 11 strikeouts. Luis Severino, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 10 strikeouts. And lastly, Braxton Ashcraft, 7 innings, 4 hits, a run, 2 walks, and 9 Ks. Those are your outstanding performances from the week here as we look now at our stat leaderboard. Coming in hot right now. Average, new leader, Otto Lopez, 342 batting average. He's been great, so great that he also leads the league in hits still with 68. Schwarber still leading in home runs with 20. Liam Hicks makes some room because he is joined by CJ Abrams, Matt Olson, and Andy Pajes. The four of them all lead the league in RBIs at 42. Hopefully that number comes down in next week. James Wood now leads in runs. He's got 43 runs scored. Nick Kurtz is back to leading in walks. He's got 48. Nazman Nunez has now sole possession of stolen bases as Jose Ramirez falls. Nunez with 21 stolen bags on the year. Ben Rice still leading in OPS at a 1.029. So that is that. Aaron Ashby continues to rack up the wins. He's up to 8 now. Cam Schlittler, despite the loss against the Blue Jays, his ERA is now 1.5, and that is now the best in baseball. For the first time this year, the ERA has gone over 1, and it only took a month and a half, really almost 2 months of the season, for an ERA leader to be over 0 point whatever. So that is Cam Schlittler right now. Jacob Mizorowski still leading in strikeouts with 88, although Dylan Cease is still right behind him there. And now no Mason Miller, no Riley O'Brien. It is just Cade Smith. The three-way tie is now just Smith. Up to 16 saves on the season for the Guardians. Who needs Mr. Emmanuel? Not Cleveland, I'll tell you that. Let's take a look now at the upcoming series for the weekend here. And as I said, there are some good ones. The Pirates are in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. Hey, remember when I said the Yankees and Rays are both very good and kind of at the top there for the AL East? Well, the Rays are a 4.5 game lead over the Yankees, and they are going into New York to take on those Yankees. The New York Yankees need to get some wins to get back into the AL East there. Tigers will play Baltimore in a series where both teams have been struggling. One of these teams could get hot right now. Twins are in Boston to take on the Red Sox. Mariners in Kansas City to take on the Royals. Rangers at Angels. Nationals at Braves. The Mets at the Marlins. Guardians at Phillies. That's a fun one. Cardinals at Reds. Astros at Cubs, a team that has struggled all season versus a team that's struggling just now. Cubs, of course, that 5-game losing streak. Dodgers, meanwhile, will go to take on the Brewers, and the Cubs are hopeful that the Dodgers will beat the heck out of the Brewers. The Rockies and D-backs are playing for, that's a series there, A's at Padres. Mason Miller will get a potential relief appearance against his former team for the first time, and we ended up with the White Sox in San Francisco to take on the Giants. That is your upcoming series for the week here. And like I said, Yankees-Rays, that is the fun one for me. If the season ended today, let's go through our playoff predictor. The Rangers are the 6 seed. They take on the A's in the 3 seed, while the White Sox in the 5 seed take on the Yankees in the 4 seed. The Athletics beat the Rangers. The Yankees beat the White Sox in the wild card. So our ALDS matchups include the A's at the Guardians, who are the 2 seed, while the Yankees take on the Rays, who are the 1 seed. And there are no upsets. The Guardians beat the A's, the Rays beat the Yankees. So the ALCS matchup is your Cleveland Guardians and your Tampa Bay Rays, and it is the Cleveland Guardians that get through Tampa. They head to the World Series. On the other end, in the NL, you have the Cardinals being the 6 seed. They take on the Brewers at the 3 seed. Cubs in the 5 seed taking on the Padres in the 4 seed. Brewers beat the Cardinals. Padres beat the Cubs. We head to the NLDS. The Brewers against the Dodgers, who are the 2 seed. Hey, that series is happening right now. Or not right now, but this weekend. The Padres are taking on the Braves, who are the 1 seed still. Dodgers, of course, beat the Brewers, while the Padres upset the Braves. So your NLCS matchup is the Padres and the Dodgers, and this series would hit harder than anything. You know this one would go 7, and you know the Dodgers would still end up winning it. They head to the World Series. It's a Guardians-Dodgers World Series with the Los Angeles Dodgers, of course, becoming your 2026 World Series champions as they three-peat ahead of the eventual lockout in 2027. That is your playoff predictor. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your episode here today. thank you everybody so much for tuning on into another episode of the Middle of the Order. I appreciate you guys as we're almost at the end of the month of May, going back into those tiers. Hopefully your team is in a tier, at least in the top 3 tiers, because you'd rather be in that and not the bottom 3 tiers. But still, as the nicer weather continues to roll out, it just means more and more action, more love at the ballpark. Go out, support your local team, your favorite team, and tune into some baseball, because these guys working their asses off. They love it. We love it. And who knows, we can enjoy the baseball this year because of that eventual lockout that is kind of coming along the way. But I digress. For now, I will say thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, so much. And I will see you on Monday.